So we come now to our lesson for the day. I've titled it The Canvas of Life, the painting of our life. How are we doing with painting the trajectory of our lives? So good evening and welcome to our Creative Living series. And for every time we gather, it's to remind ourselves of the profound truth that guides us and how constantly tuning in helps to keep our eyes focused on the target. Every, or if not almost everything in life, our goals, if we have something that would always channel us and bring us back to where we are and what we are working towards, then we are almost halfway achieving that target. So what we do every time is to help through these lessons, classes, help us keep our eyes on the ball, focused on the target. And you often hear Dr. Greg say that the game we play is forgetting and remembering. We forget, we remember. And that's why we tune in. And each time we hear these truths, it builds up our faith because it says faith comes by hearing, and hearing this word as often as possible. So our center is here to remind you of who you are and the immense power within you that you can use. If that's one of the basic things, the principal things why we gather, to remind you who you are, to remind you of the multitude or the powerful gems that you have been, the talents, the deep secret gems that you have been created with. You have been created with immense power within you. And what we do through this teaching is to activate it through the words so you can move. And again, in this power, we live, we move, we have our being. We are swimming in it. We're just coming to the awareness. We are awakening to that as we come to these classes. So through our understanding of this teaching, we know that every thought and corresponding action causes ripple of reactions, forming the basis of our experience. We often always tell you that our thoughts are creative. And these thoughts would always create ripple effect in our outer world. So we are always mindful of what we are thinking, what are our thoughts, and that's why every Thursday we always ask that question: what has it been like being you? Because we want to be monitoring the tendencies of our thoughts. So we recognize that we are not mere spectators in this unfolding drama, but active creators of our reality. We don't just let things pass, we create what we want when we come to this teaching. As we awaken to this realization and celebrate this power and potential within us, we shape our reality guided by this divine presence. It's always a presence, never an absence. I said earlier, in it we live, we move, and have our being. That's all that we have. By practicing the presence and knowing there's never an absence, what happens is that we break away from fear, we break away from doubt, we break away from automatic negative thoughts. And in place of all this, we paint a beautiful, beautiful picture of possibility. All things are possible to them that believe, knowing that, yes, all things are possible if you believe. And I want to tell you, the fact that you have come to this call is a step of faith in the right direction. So in this teaching, we welcome each day with positive expectancy as we pick up our brushes and create something wonderful on the blank canvas of life. I like this positive expectancy. You wake up in the morning or any time, and all you're looking out for is something good, the good things. That doesn't mean that the negative things don't come to mind, but when it comes, we have learned through this teaching how to just clear that out, nip it up in the bud, and be looking forward to something good happening, something greater. We always talk about the good to the greater good, positive expectancy. And again, the title of this lesson is The Canvas of Our Life. We have a blank canvas and we direct. We are to paint it. How are you painting that for your life? And again, it's yours for the taking. You have the power. You've been created with this immense power. That's what we gather here to remind you of who you are. So why don't you start painting that canvas with intention? Be purposeful about it. So we can direct the flow and not drift through life without intention or purpose or be swayed by external factors. There will always be distractions as we walk towards our target. But we gather each time to remind you that once you focus on that, and the universe, it's always there waiting to respond to you, to whatever you place in the hands of the universe. It's always waiting to respond. All it does is respond. So when we act with clear intentions and conscious awareness, what happens is that we engage the universal law of mind. And what does that do? It faithfully reflects the essence of our inner state. It does that meticulously. And just like Ralph Waldo Emerson wisely said, the only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. Again, it's entirely your decision. It's entirely up to you, like Dr. Greg would always say. This is a powerful statement, and it reminds us that our destiny, it's not predetermined, but shaped by the choices and the actions. By that taking that first step, by moving your feet. So when we embrace this understanding, we move from passive reactivity to purposeful living. And what is purposeful living? You know where you are, you know where you want to go to, and you're walking towards it. And every distraction on the way, you're getting it off your way. But instead of being swept along by the currents of external circumstances, we learn to choose our responses and take the reins as the directors of our movies. This shift in perspective, what it does, it allows us to become more intentional in our lives, more determined. Ernest Holmes, another profound thinker, taught us that there is power for good in the universe, greater than we are, and not just that there is power greater than we are, and we can use that power. It's so available 24/7, and it responds to you 24/7. This means that we are not alone in our journey. We have access to a vast and benevolent force that supports us in creating our desired lives. So whatever you desire, whatever you want to achieve, it's possible if you believe, if you're intentional about it and begin to work towards it. And once you take that step, the universe is there to respond to everything towards that. So as students of truth, we learn to set clear intentions for our lives. We can start this process by asking ourselves some important questions. And a few of those questions are, what have you come here to be? There's one particular lesson that Dr. Greg Harte taught a while ago, where we talked about setting our intentions and trajectory of what you want, you probably will draw a question or write a question, and you begin to draw things, answer those questions. As things come to you, you just sketch it, put it down, put it down, put it down. What have you come here to be? And what happens is that when you set those intentions clear on a board, on a notebook, or anything, as you move around or go about your activities, you begin to get answers, insight into those things. And as they come, you write it down. As they come, you write it down. Before you know it, you have a complete map, a road plan. And the next question is, what are you passionate about? What are those things that drive you? What are those things that once you get on doing it, you feel fulfilled? So by continually reflecting on these questions and the answers they reveal, we redirect our lives, our energy, and our focus towards solutions and opportunities. I always like these opportunities because one thing I've found out through this teaching is that we're always presented with opportunities daily, often. But it only takes the person that is ready and sensitive to see these opportunities, talk less of tapping into them. So the practice helps us to see the good in every situation and move beyond mere survival to a life of deliberate creation. We want to be deliberate in everything. If we know that what we put in will be what we'll see on the outside, we want to be mindful of what we are putting in because we want the corresponding creations to be what we want. In this way, we become the architects of our stories, crafting narratives that reflect our highest aspirations and most profound truths. We harness the power of the law of multiplication, which returns to us what we give attention to and embody. It can only multiply what we focus, what we put in. This law is impartial. It multiplies everything, good or bad, based on where we direct our focus. The divine law of multiplication reminds us that what we focus on and what we embody in our lives will be multiplied many times over. So don't be surprised when you see your creations. It's something that you have taken in. The law will always play its part. This means that even when we don't actively choose, we still make choices by how we act and react to life. So let's focus on the positive, set our intentions with clarity, and embrace the power for good that surrounds us. By doing so, we become not just participants in life, but its deliberate creators, shaping our reality that reflects our deepest desires and highest goals. Listen carefully. It's a law that operates without discrimination, for it does not choose between good and bad. Instead, it responds to our choices, whether we realize it or not, and manifests in our actions and reactions to life. It's just a law. It's in operation 24/7. Whatever you put, you get. So take a moment to reflect on this incredible truth. Everything we focus on and invest our energy in has the potential to multiply exponentially. When we don't specifically choose what we want to experience in life, what happens is we permit ourselves to be influenced by the collective consciousness of all mankind. It is easy to get swept away by the currents of the world, allowing mankind's collective consciousness to shape our experiences. When we don't consciously choose what we want to experience, we become passive recipients of whatever life throws our way. We allow circumstances, opinions, and societal expectations to dictate our path. That's when we don't choose consciously, we allow the collective consciousness to dictate our path. But we are here always to remind you that you have been uniquely created with a purpose. When we actively choose what we want to experience, we tap into the infinite possibilities that Spirit has made available to us. I like this teaching and the way it flows, because it just tells us how much power that we have, that we can use, that is available to us. And again, on the other side, the law, the universe just responds to everything that we think. So we can enjoy a life filled with purpose, meaning, and joy beyond measure when you begin to take charge of your life. Again, this collective consciousness always expresses life negatively. And what it does, it says to us, you can't do that. You are not smart enough. You are not good enough. And the negatives continue as long as we listen to it, as long as you take the back seat and let the collective consciousness drive your car or your life. So we learn to direct our lives and not let the world direct them. If that is the only thing we get out from this lesson today, that's absolutely very good. What we gather each time is to take charge of our lives. We're constantly awakening to that consciousness that you are whole, you are complete, you're supplied and supported, you can do all things. That you have this power and that you can use it. Either our beliefs would direct our lives, or the beliefs of others operating through the collective consciousness will. So little wonder we ask, how did this come into my world of experience? I have never embodied a thought like this. And it will be that we permitted our thinking to slip out of our driver's seat while we sit in the passenger's seat enjoying the ride. If you think through, you may remember when you let that happen. So we take the easy way out when we leave the driving to someone else. But the result follows us home. And you know what it does? It parks in our garage. It becomes our demonstration, whether we like it or not, because we decided not to be in charge of our lives. So we are here to remind you, it isn't what life is doing to us, but what we are doing with life. The question now is, what are you doing with life? Are we living each day the same? Following the same old rituals and habits of getting up in the morning, going to work, returning from work, and then resting so that we can get up again and do the same thing the next day? Just a roller coaster. What are you truly doing with your life? What am I truly doing with my life? Are we merely going through the motions, following the repetitive cycle of our daily routines, and not taking moments to be calm, to observe? Are we content with simply existing without truly living or thriving? Again, it boils down to what our intentions are, what your goals are. Again, without even going through it, we can become trapped in these repetitive readings of our daily lives and lose sight of the true essence of life. Again, life is meant to be vibrant, adventurous, and meaningful. And you can make it so for yourself. We want to embrace each day as a sacred opportunity to grow, to love, and expand in consciousness. We want to find purpose in our work and seek joy in the simplest moments. We want to break free from the confines of our routines and embrace life with open arms. We want to wake up in the morning and expect good and seek the good. Because what you seek, you find. And how does this start? It starts with a simple shift in our mindset. It begins with recognizing that each day is a gift to be cherished and lived to its fullest. So instead of going through the motions, let's approach each day with intention and enthusiasm. Seek the good. Seek the good. You wake up in the morning, you're grateful for another day, and look out for the good. Expect the good. Speak the good into being. Because like I said, what you seek, you find. Each day we can dive deeper into infinite possibilities that life presents us. We can discover the hidden gems of wisdom within us and express the divine spark that ignites our soul. So we provide a divine outlet for this flow of life, for love, for power, for health, for abundance. Our purpose is to let divine life and energy flow through us always. We are the channels for this divine creativity and giving. I like early in the morning waking up as I'm getting ready to begin to imagine, visualize the good things that this day would bring and begin to speak it into being. So with this understanding, we do not just react to what happens around us. Instead, we understand we can control how we respond to the world from that deep place within. As Ernest Holmes said, there is one life, that life is spirit, and that life is our life now. And that life is perfect, that life is whole, that life is complete. Emma Curtis Hopkins beautifully expressed, "My good comes from everywhere and everyone. All people and all things are instruments for my good." If you have this mindset, you see that is positive expectancy. Even when the things are not looking good, you are seeing the good. My good comes from everywhere and everyone. All people and things are instruments for my good. If you have that mentality, everything you see is good because that's all you see. Ralph Waldo Emerson reminded us that what lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. So we understand that words we speak are spirit, they are life. So we want to be mindful of our language. Speak spirit, speak life to yourself, to every situation. We strive to speak words that uplift, that heal, and inspire. Whether addressing others or engaging in self-talk, our words should reflect the divine truth within us. I like the self-talk. We always talk about that on Thursdays, the self-talk. What's your self-talk like? Most times when we engage in self-talk, we are either wanting to complain or murmur about something. But if we can catch ourselves and nip those thoughts and begin to say great things, the situation is bad, and turn it around. Those self-talk, what are those self-talks like? In everyday practice, this might mean affirming positive outcomes, expressing gratitude, and speaking kindly to ourselves and others. By so doing, we harness the creative power of the divine, bringing more love, joy, and abundance into our lives and the world around us. We need to remember that our lives reflect our actions and reactions. Every action we take has a reaction. This is a definite and unchanging truth. We can't escape the consequences of our actions. Whatever we think about creates an effect in our lives. We always talk about our thoughts. So, I have a scenario here. Imagine you standing in front of a vast mountain range. When you shout a word or phrase, the sound travels across the mountains and eventually echoes back to you. This echo represents the reactions and outcomes of your actions and thoughts. So every thought that you have and every word that you speak is like shouting into the mountains. Positive, loving words and thoughts are like shouting, "I am happy," into the mountains. And that is what the echoes that you receive in the echo. You are happy, the positive ones. And if they are negative, fearful thoughts are like shouting, "I am afraid." And what happens? You receive that in return. Whatever you send into the universe through your thoughts and words will return to you. Sometimes the mountain can amplify the sound of your shout, making it louder when it returns. Similarly, the universe can amplify the effects of your thoughts and actions, bringing back even more significant outcomes than you initially anticipated. So since the echo will always come back to you, it is crucial to be mindful of what you shout, what you speak, what you think about. Again, it's not enough to avoid negative thoughts. We need to think positively and actively replace all negative thoughts. We must make conscious effort to engage in positive spiritual thinking, ridding ourselves of every negativity and replacing it with positive. I have a little story for you. It's titled The Athlete's Mindset. We're rounding up. John was a talented runner, but often struggled with self-doubt and negative thinking before races. He would tell himself things like, "What if I don't perform well?" Or, "I'm not good as the other competitors." These thoughts made him anxious and affected his performance. One day, John decided to take a new approach. He realized that simply trying to stop his negative thoughts wasn't enough. He needed to cultivate a positive mindset actively. John started working with a coach who taught him the importance of positive self-talk and visualization. Every day, John spent time visualizing himself running smoothly and confidently, crossing the finish line with a sense of accomplishment. It's a mental work, it's practice. He repeated affirmations like, I am strong, I am fast, I am prepared. He also practiced mindfulness to stay present and focused on his training. As a result, John's mindset shifted. He felt more confident and motivated. His performance improved and he began to enjoy racing again. John's success was due not only to his avoidance of negative thinking, but also to his actively engaging in positive, constructive thinking. Affirmative treatment involves ridding ourselves of all negativity and replacing it with everything good, everything positive, everything bright and beautiful. You are supplied and supported. Keep saying it until you feel it. We must take charge and write our life stories, selecting our unique words and thoughts, rather than letting others decide for us. I always like that someone said it during our interaction time, that he or she records her affirmations and plays it. So you constantly hear your voice speaking that truth to you. I'm whole, I'm complete, I can do this. Again, you are the author of your own life story. You have the power to write the script, choose the characters, and determine the plot. Yes, you do. You are the author of your own story. So this teaching gives us the spiritual tool to write our own life stories and create a better, more fulfilling life. Not one of chaos, but one of joy and fulfillment. And again, you can do all things if you believe. And so it is. Thank you all for listening.